Now, leaked text messages and everything that we sort of knew about a few years ago when it was the saved voicemails he had, but this one literally says he's right next to Joe Biden, and this is absolutely crazy. We'll play the clip of people asking Karine, your favorite gender non-conforming person in the White House.
I don't think she's ever claimed to be gender not.
No, she's just gay.
She does now, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like this. You probably won't like this because it's going to make you look bad and racist. But Blackety Ann is the perfect name for her. We had Raggedy Ann, right? We had Raggedy Ann, the Saki with the commie Russian hat, and then they replaced her with this. I mean, just a human shield from criticism, right? Like you cannot touch this woman because she is black and likes to have sex with women and is married, as the kids might say, to a CNN employee. But
As you will be.
I digress.
Um, I'm watching a newer Chef Ramsay show, All Stars or something. I don't even remember. But the goal is the winner, he invests $250,000 into their existing business. One woman on it, who, spoiler alert, got eliminated last week, she said that her life was so terrible because she's a black lesbian Muslim from New York. So that was her identity at the forefront. Thankfully, she's gone because she can't work with anybody. But it's just like nobody. She claims she's going to go international with her business, and I'm sitting there thinking like people in other countries, especially non-white countries, aren't going to pick up what you're putting down with this whole identity thing, because it's not a thing in the Middle East, it's not a thing in Asia to be, my sexuality and my gender is the most important thing about me and therefore give me money. But I digress, Eric. Hunter Biden, he got caught with a text message to a Chinese official, a
WhatsApp,
WhatsApp,
correct?
my
Yeah.
apologies, a WhatsApp message to Henry Zhao, who is the group chairman of China's Harvest Fund Management. So works. What's so funny? The word Zhao, the
Well,
name
does
Zhao.
this feel like a movie, like Die Hard, like some sort of like it's just
We meet
this is
again,
comical,
Mister
bro.
Zhao.
Exactly, bro. Yeah.
We have your nephew, Mr. Biden, or your son, I guess. China's Harvest Fund Management. So works for the Chinese government, is the chairman of some sort of management fund, and Hunter used his father's name to demand a payment and threaten the businessman. They're being a little kind by saying he's not just a government official there. But as you know, you can't have a large business in China without the government controlling it. Sounds ridiculous, but it's a fact. This is Hunter Biden to the Chinese investment manager. I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight, Hunter Biden wrote. And Z, which I'm assuming means Mr. Zhao here, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhao, okay, or the chairman,
Those are two different
okay,
people. So there's three people that he is willing to accept communications with, as I understand it, right? So it's
Mr. Zhao, or I'm guessing the president, but I thought the chairman would be uh, President Xi, but maybe this is just referring to the chairman who it is. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. So, two mentions of his father, which we all know is the president of the United States and was the vice president um, a year prior to this. So, is that how they're going to get away with this, Eric? Is that it was 2017? He wasn't. This is a year after he's the vice president. 3 years before he's the president. Is that what they're going to say? Is we can't convict him of anything because he wasn't in office at the time?
Yeah, I mean, whatever, sure. Like it doesn't. What does it matter? They could tell. They literally told us that. Yeah, who was it? Was it a Chris Ray? I forget, one of these FBI guys who said, "Yeah, Hillary Clinton. She had all these classified stuff and smashed up these phones and bleach bit and all that." But you know, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna let her go. It doesn't matter what they say, right? They could tell
Mm-hmm.
you. These people are quite obviously, as the old saying goes, they will pee on your leg and tell you it's raining. It doesn't matter. They don't have to come up with an excuse. They don't have to come up with an answer. And I kind of feel like, I mean, how many years has it been that Hunter Biden, that weirdo stuff from Hunter Biden, whether it's crack smoke, weighing dope on a scale, underage girls, hookers. I mean, the we know now that nothing will happen. It doesn't matter. I mean, obviously the mainstream media is going to go to bat for him, unless they're not. And I think we talked about this a little bit off screen, that I guess some people might say that the media has been unleashed because the DNC wants to get rid of Biden. And I don't even really know if that's true, right? It doesn't. Nothing will happen, and that's the point. They are in charge. You are not. And this whole thing, like I said, it sounds like a late '90s action movie. Like I'm sending a correspondence to Zhao to make sure that he gets. It's like, what is even happening here? And it doesn't matter, bro. Like, they are going to weasel their way out of any and every situation. And if you question it, I mean, they'll throw the book at you, right? Like we saw, they impeached Donald Trump for investigating corruption of Joe Biden. And then since then they have kicked up the political persecution, as it were, up into the 100,000 trillion million billion whatever. They've kicked it up a notch because it's been going on since the day he came down the escalator. But when he really started to feel the heat, when the walls are closing in on Trump, is when he started talking about the corruption in Ukraine. And when we remember that he only started talking about Ukraine after 3 years of Russia nonsense. So I want to make sure that everybody remembers they talked about Russia for nonstop for 3 years, dropped it like a hot potato. It vanished into thin air. Maybe Tulsi Gabbard might be Russian. It could be Andrew Yang. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. They dropped it like a hot potato, focused on Ukraine, tried to take down Trump based on a phone call in Ukraine. And now we're accidentally giving them billions of dollars. Something's not right. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you like, but something's not adding up here.
For sure. And to your point that it seems like a movie, it's probably a Jason Statham movie where people are sent to kill him. He kills them, picks up the cell phone that rings, like, you tell Mr. Zhao.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not. You tell Mr. Zhao that I'm coming for him too.
Dude, and it's just.
So actually, people try to do journalism. I don't know who people from all these outlets are. I know, I don't know which one of them is from which, to be completely honest. But there was at least 4 people.
And can we just
asking her question? Can we just point at
well,
this?
I just look. I can't even look at these people. I mean, I know this actually got me in Instagram jail some months ago. But when I look at her and Kirby and the little redhead who was before this one, even Kamala, all of these people, I mean, I can't. They literally. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but they don't even look like they look like lizard people to me. They're not even real. Like, how does anybody look at this and think for one split second that this woman is going to tell you the truth? I mean, it's just, I've come so far that it's become comical, bro. It's like, this is just they're sticking it to us.
Kirby was on before her, before she came on stage. That's right, stage. And he wouldn't answer anything. So let's see if Kareen was able to answer any questions.
The president invited his son Hunter to the state dinner last night. I'm wondering if you could take us into the thinking and decision making of why the president decided to invite.
I'm just not going to get into personal family discussion. As you know, Hunter is his son. I'm just not going to get into it.
Let me ask you this: if Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son, would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors?
Well,
2 days earlier?
a couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is not uncommon for family members to attend events at the White House. You could look at past presidents. I'm sure you have. So that is not uncommon. As it relates to anything related to Hunter, I'm just not going to respond to it from here.
So let's pause for a second and remind everybody that when Trump was president, all his children were fair game for anything, as they should be to an extent. And if Trump was president and Don Trump Jr. or Eric Trump had committed a crime or a series of crimes, pled guilty to it, got a nice plea deal where they won't serve jail time. Could you imagine Kayleigh McEnany going up there and being like, "It's a personal matter. It's the president's son. We don't talk about that. That's just something personal with the family. We don't talk about the president's son." Could you imagine what everybody would say? They would say they're a blatant liar. They would demand that they step down. And you've got Karine Jean-Pierre up here acting like the president's son didn't confess to crimes. That's what a plea deal is. You confess to some lesser crimes so you don't have to go to jail, or you don't get as bad of a sentence for the greater crimes, and they knock it down. That's what happened. And on top of that, you've got these text messages that are going to be read out soon, I think, on this video, where we talk about Hunter Biden doing business deals with his father. My father's right next to me, as we just read, with the Chinese government. So that's two things. Hunter Biden committed crimes. Two, he's making deals with the Chinese government with his father sitting next to him. And the third thing is that Joe Biden has said how many times? Half a dozen at least, that he never has spoken to his son about his business dealings.
I'd say
So
more
you're
than
tell-
half a dozen. I'd say more, and not only half a
Exactly.
dozen, but screaming at people like, "Yeah, my son is I'm so proud of him. He's, you know what I mean? Like getting clearly flying off the handle. It's all absolute insanity. And we'll, I'm gonna let you finish. Shout out, yay! But this is, I think, quite clearly as in addition to just the smoke and mirrors, this dog and pony show. This is them being able to say, look, see, we gave him, you know what I mean? They're trying to like kind of a CYA thing, like cover their own ass, like, see, we punished Hunter, but obviously it's all completely fake.
Yeah, well, he totally committed crimes, but we can't talk about it.
Can I follow up on that?
Okay. No, I just called in somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Curley wouldn't answer James's question, though. Are you going to answer the question? I mean, not a reasonable question to ask, whether the President of the United States was involved, as this message seems to suggest, in some sort of coercive conversation for business dealings by his son. Is that something? If he wasn't, then maybe you should tell us.
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the question. I believe my colleague at the White House Counsel has answered this question already, has dealt with this, has made it very clear. I just don't have anything to share outside of what my colleagues have shared, and so I would refer you to him and the
Can you tell us a little bit about who you like to sleep with?
Text message.
I will. What I can tell you is I know that my colleague has dealt with this. He addressed this at the White House Counsel. I just don't have anything else to share.
In the shakedown
I just answered the question. I just answered the question.
No, you didn't. Yes or no? Was the president involved in the shakedown attempt?
Stephen, I just answered the question. It's not up to you how I answer the question. I just answered the question by telling you my colleagues at the White House Counsel has dealt with this, and I would refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karine, can you just remind us what your colleague said from the White House Counsel so we have it?
I would refer you to them, and they will share their statement with all of you.
My question is about your statements from
So she can't even give them the answer that was given because she doesn't have it, obviously, because she probably doesn't know if she knows the counsel has given some sort of answer. She knows that. She doesn't know what it is. She doesn't want to get in trouble by saying the wrong thing. But the idea, again, Eric, that the president's son can commit crimes, admit to them, and then mention that his father is sitting next to him during some sort of, I'm going to say conjecturally and without evidence, Your Honor, that he's doing crooked business dealings. Any business dealings you're doing with the government of China probably isn't on the level unless you're an official state government, which Hunter Biden is not. He is not a member of the state.
All right, just for once, stop pretending. You're on the computer anyways. You always got your cell phone in your hand. So just take a quick moment, sign up to the Patreon, patreon.com/uopod. You will not regret it. You're going to see us fly off the handle and say all the things that we can't say on YouTube lest we be kicked off and shunned from society. So sign up to the Patreon. Appreciate it. I would say, even if you are a part of the official government, I think you're actually even more prone to doing crooked business deals if you're part of the completely corrupt federal government doing deals with China. And this has nothing to do with the story, but can we remember a time when they were making all of these White House press corps people wear the stupid mask? Like, that's over now, right? Like, it was all It's all completely fake. It's all completely phony. For months, they didn't even let people into the room, which of course was a way to weed out people who weren't going to lob up softball questions about Joe Biden's favorite flavor of ice cream or whatever it is. But that should let us know that it was all completely fake. And now, for some reason, like the great Alex Jones once said, they've been unleashed. They're, I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds. Now they want to ask questions. And now they're all kind of colluding, as some might say, to ask the same question and watch this little human shield from criticism squirm, even though we all know that no matter how many questions they get, nothing's going to happen. I mean, so, and this is why I always come back to this theory that, and I wish it weren't this way, and hopefully I'm wrong, but do we think for one split second the people pulling the strings of this lady, the people pulling the strings of Joe Biden, and the entire establishment, do we think for one split second, San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, all of these big cities included, that they are going to allow themselves to be voted out of office? It's not going to happen. They will stop at nothing. Everybody sees it. I look through Instagram accounts of far left wing, completely corrupt San Francisco Mayor London Breed, look into her ethics violation payments, different story. All of these people, you look at the comments of their accounts. We're not talking about news articles from Fox. We're talking about their accounts. And you can see dozens of comments of people saying, give it a rest. And we are to believe that is the fringe minority, the smallest population. No, most people can see right through it. And this is just proof that it's all fake, and they are going to obfuscate and pretend that anybody calling them out is this extremist person, and they will maintain power by any means necessary, mostly jailing or attempting to jail their main political adversary. And we can watch this complete train wreck of this woman and her stupid haircut and her stupid sexuality and her stupid, this is
Little sideshow
infuriating.
Bobbish.
It is
Her hair.
It is. That's racist.
The I think also what's happening here with some of the other reporters jumping on board, they know that they're not going to get an answer out of her, so it's pretty much a win-win situation by saying, I asked the question. I mean, I asked. Let's see what else we got here.
I tried.
Got another minute and a half here.
From that podium, you've stated that the president stands by his comment from the 2020 campaign that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with his son. And you stood at that podium and you reaffirmed that. Do you stand by your reaffirmation?
What I will say is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And I will leave it there. Anything else, I will refer you to the White House counsel.
This is not a change?
I just answered the question. You just asked me, does my statement change? I just told you nothing has changed. That's answering the question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The president was there 2 days
Go ahead,
prior.
Stephen. I'm calling on your colleague right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. To follow up on my colleague, is there
She'll take
anything
the
that
Cabbage
you
Patch doll.
can say with regard to this text message and what the president's son was alleging? Was the president there or not?
I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House counsel. They have addressed this, and I refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karine, have you spoken to the president about this? Have you asked him whether he was there with his son on July 30th?
This is not a conversation that I've had with the president. Again, I would refer you to the White House counsel.
Do you plan to have that conversation with the president?
No.
Did the president speak with the attorney general at all
I
last
can't.
night at the state dinner?
I cannot say if the president had had a conversation with the attorney general last night. What I can refer you to is the White House counsel's office as it relates to the allegations. They've already addressed this. This is something for them to deal with. I refer you to the Department of Justice on anything else if you don't want to speak to the White House counsel's office.
And there was reporting earlier in the week that after the plea agreement was reached by Hunter Biden, that the
Shout out to the stenographer over here, this old lady who's typing her life out.
president felt relieved that that part of it was behind him. Is that true? Can you speak
I can't
to his
speak to that.
mindset?
I cannot speak to the president's mindset. Again, I would refer you to the White House counsel's office.
You represent the president, lady. That is your job to speak. Like, on 1,000 different topics, she says, the president believes this, the president believes that, which is her job to be like the mouth of the president. But on one of the most important things, probably the biggest story, one of the biggest stories, at least in his presidency, she has nothing to say, I guess.
No,
What a
well, I mean,
surprise.
well, how dare you, right? Like, I look, I mean, I'm Karine Jean-Pierre. I was just, look, let me stop. I don't want to get us in too much trouble, but
That's fine. We're already demonetized on YouTube.
it up, Jordan.